Washington, Republican senators voted on Tuesday to formally silence a Democratic colleague for impugning a peer, Senator Jeff Sessions of Alabama, by condemning his nomination for Attorney General while reading a letter from Coretta Scott King. Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat of Massachusetts, had been holding forth on the Senate floor on the eve of Mr. Sessions' expected confirmation vote, reciting a 1986 letter from Mrs. King that criticized Mr. Sessions' record on civil rights. Sensing a stirring beside her a short while later, Ms. Warren stopped herself and scanned the chamber. Across the room, Senator Mitch McConnell, the majority leader, had stepped forward with an objection, setting off an extraordinary confrontation in the Capitol and silencing a colleague, procedurally, in the throes of a contentious debate over President Trump's cabinet nominee. The senator has impugned the motives and conduct of our colleague from Alabama, as warned by the chair, Mr. McConnell began, alluding to Mrs. King's letter, which accused Mr. Sessions of using the awesome power of his office to chill the pre-exercise of the vote by black citizens. Mr. McConnell called the Senate to order under what is known as Rule 19, which prohibits debating senators from ascribing to another senator or to other senators any conduct or motive unworthy or unbecoming a senator. When Mr. McConnell concluded, Ms. Warren said she was surprised that the words of Coretta Scott King are not suitable for debate in the United States Senate. She asked to continue her remarks. Mr. McConnell objected. "Objection is heard," said Senator Steve Daines, Republican of Montana, who was presiding in the chamber at the time. The senator will take her seat. The debate appeared to center, in part, on whether the rule allowed exemptions for quoted remarks. Ms. Warren had been reading directly from the letter from Mrs. King, the widow of the relevant Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to demean a sitting senator. In a party line vote, 49-43, senators upheld Mr. Daines's decision, forcing Ms. Warren into silence, at least on the Senate floor, until the showdown over Mr. Sessions' nomination is complete. He is expected to be confirmed on Wednesday. Immediately, Democrats took up Ms. Warren's cause, urging on social media for Republicans to #Let Liz speak. Ms. Warren said on Twitter that Mr. McConnell had silenced Mrs. King's voice on the Senate floor, to say nothing of millions who are afraid and appalled by what's happening in our country. Within hours of being shut down on the Senate floor, Ms. Warren read the letter from Mrs. King on Facebook, attracting more than 2 million views, an audience she would have been unlikely to match on C-SPAN, if she had been permitted to continue speaking in the chamber. Democrats argued that Mr. McConnell was enforcing the rule selectively, citing examples of Republicans appearing to test the boundaries of Rule 19. In one instance from 2015, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas accused Mr. McConnell of lying over and over and over again. In another, last year, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas described the cancerous leadership of Senator Harry Reid, the former Democratic leader. Republicans accused Ms. Warren of violating the rule repeatedly, saying she had been warned before Mr. McConnell's objection. Senator John Cornyn, Republican of Texas, suggested that Ms. Warren had been rebuked over a quotation from Senator Ted Kennedy that called the nominee a disgrace to the Justice Department. "Our colleagues want to try to make this all about Coretta Scott King, and it is not," he said. But when Senator Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader, sought clarification, he was informed that while a warning was issued over the letter from Mr. Kennedy, the ruling itself hinged on Mrs. King's letter. That judgment came from Senator Mike Rounds, Republican of South Dakota, who had taken over as the presiding officer. In either event, Republicans suggested, the episode spoke to Democrats' inability to accept the results of the 2016 election, and, more narrowly, to adhere to the rules of a body where decorum has often fallen away. "She was warned," Mr. McConnell said of Ms. Warren. "She was given an explanation. Nevertheless, she persisted." Democrats planned to hold the floor into the wee hours of Wednesday to protest Mr. Sessions' nomination.